So here we are for heat number 2, 8 laps of the legends around Knockhill Racing Circuit. The Knockhill Motorsports Club reverse direction for car meeting. The first ever car meeting to be held in reverse direction at Knockhill under the new Motorsports Club. And we're going to follow the legends for this race here. As you can see, looking backwards from the number 3 car of Duncan Vincent here. Horrendous weather conditions, and we're looking straight into the eyeballs of Chris Hines as we just park ourselves in pit lane there. The 06 car is John Wishbury. Behind John Wishbury we have got JM himself, John Marshall, in the 5 car. And we'll pick up the rest of the guys as we get going. But leaving the pit lane here, we're on board with the number 3 Beatson's Motorsport car. The Burnett Motorsport car, sponsored by Beatson's, which you normally see Ross Marshall in. These guys just testing for a bit of grip, finding their way around just now. Onboard camera, you can see visibility is something that's not going to be easy for these drivers today. On the left hand side, just out of a shot there, we've got Kieran Gallagher in the number 2 Burnett Motorsports car as well. So these guys, a couple of them were out testing yesterday at Knockhill in the dry conditions, so obviously that does help the drivers a little bit. Right now we get a fairly dodgy shot of Duncan Vincent there as we look on board backwards from him at the guys. A few people weaving to warm their tyres up or try and generate some sort of tyre temperature in towards these tyres, but heating up the brakes is just as important in Legend, and you can heat a lot of brakes up and you can also heat the tyres up by the old bit braking and accelerating. We're coming around Clark Corner just now. Racetrack normally goes the other way. A lot of wheel spin you can hear from the car there as they accelerate away over a rather slippery track there. There's been a few drops of oil, shall we say, put down from previous classes, and all sorts of debris been brought onto the circuit as well. So not an easy time for these guys to be out here in the Legends. You come over the John Arweir chicane here, blind left-hand entry as you go in towards it. You come over the top of the hill, there's a sausage curb facing you. You can't cut the corner, it plummets down through Butchers before you come back up in towards Scotsman Corner. This is normally such a flowing series of the track, going normal direction, going clockwise. But I've got to say, anti-clockwise, the reverse direction, we could call it what we like, the racing is fantastic. And from the chicane to the top of first corner is like an absolute roller coaster all the way around. So here we see the lights are on the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge. The pace car pulls under the bridge right now and we are going racing. The cars accelerate away towards the first corner, which will be the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. We pick up a camera just looking back up towards the top of the hill at the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge. Let's see the lights going off on the bridge. When will they go off? They're holding them just a couple of minutes as we come up towards the lights, and there we go. We're now racing for heat number 2 in the Legends as we come away from the pole position here. Vincent gets past Gallagher and he's got Hines tucked right up behind him as they come in towards the first corner. The number 3 Burnett Motorsport car leads the way as they come into the hairpin. Number black 27 car of Chris Hines tries to follow him into the corner. Vincent almost runs wide and off the track. They're just searching for a little bit of grip. Finds a good bit of grip on the exit and then accelerates hard away along through Hislopes towards Clark Corner. You can see Hines sitting straight in the spray, getting an absolute face full of spray. Sometimes it's better just to pull out a little bit from the car in front so you can get a good bit of visual as Hines looks like he almost locks it a little bit for front wheel as they come in towards Clark Corner. Vincent taking a rather unusual wet weather line, shall we say there, but gets good traction in the back straight before he hits the brakes and slows it up for the John Arweir chicane. Takes a little bit of curb on the way and you see that goes over the second curb. Oh, Hines goes all over the sausage curb, all over the sausage curb at the top of the chicane there, and that's going to give him a fair bit of a dunt inside the car because those curbs are fairly high there. Looks like he's catching, Kieran Gallagher's catching him, should say, for second place just now. Number 2 car just off the back, but Vincent's starting to stamp authority over this race, stretching away at the front as he comes up over the top of Say It curves there and gets a beautiful little 4-wheel drift as he accelerates up and under the Beatson's bridge as they go on to lap number 2, heading downhill towards the hairpin in a very damp, wet, tricky braking zone. We pick up with the camera that's mounted in the stand. Vincent goes very, very wide, taking the famous kind of wet weather approach to racing, and cuts back across and gets a good exit from the corner. We've then got Hines, we have got Gallagher, Carol Brown, the Scottish champion for 2012, and John Marshall in the other red and white Burnett car, just making its way along the back of Carol Brown as they head towards Clark again. But Vincent comes into Clark, hugs the curb, and you can see he's got a good couple of second lead now over Chris Hines just off the back there in the black 27 car. Vincent really is exploring the grip in the circuit here. He's trying quite a few different lines from other drivers down that back straight just to try and get a handle on things, to find out where the grip is. Legends don't have the greatest amount of grip in the dry, so you put these things out in the way and you really really kind of find where the limits are very, very quickly. You see him getting a little bit of wheel spin as he comes out there, goes through Leslie's, takes a good bit of curb, stays tight to the white line, then cuts back across, good bit of apex curb, and you can hear the thing wheel spinning and sliding as he comes up over the crest of the hill and accelerates up, pulling gears towards that bridge again. Onto the third lap out of 8 here. Weather conditions staying exactly the same. We're not getting any better whatsoever. Duncan Vincent getting a nice lead there, sizable lead. There's the Scottish champion, and John Marshall in the 5 car goes up the inside of Kieran Gallagher. Good move by GM. He's been out of legend for a good couple of almost a year and a bit now, but GM getting himself back on song and sorted out with that 5 car, which he has been in and raced and had many race wins actually as well. So good to see John Marshall, the man behind the Beatson's concern, getting past one of the young charges, Kieran Gallagher. Meanwhile, back at Clark Corner, Vincent again takes that unusual line down the back straight where he's just finding so much more grip and traction than anybody else, and he even stays on the braking line and towards that corner. Gets across the curb again, gets across the second curb, plummets down. Butcher's quick short shift grab of a gear there, you could hear that, takes a bit of curb as he goes past Butcher's, then gets on the brake hard for Scotsman Corner, which he cuts back across. Misses apex there. Missed his apex quite a bit there, so he needs to kind of get a handle on that and sharpen himself up a bit there, but through the left-hander, up the hill again, goes over the apex at the top of the set curves. You can see the car sliding about the back there, and Legends really are great fun to drive sideways, but you don't want to be going too sideways, and then you end up scrubbing off all your speed. We're now halfway through the race, so as we come down past the pit crew on the pit wall and hitting the brakes for the hairpin, you can just see Hines at the very, very top of your screen. The outside camera picks up Chris Hines now with Carol Brown in the number 1 car chasing him down. The white and black car goes through the hairpin. Then we've got John Marshall in the 5 car, and Kieran Gallagher takes a good bit of curb there. Then we've got Adrian Dunn and John Wishbury. John just going up the inside of Adrian there. Adrian in his first ever race in the Paul O'Brien car, so come over from Ireland. Good to see those two guys here. The skies do look like they're starting to brighten up a little bit there over the back of the circuit as Duncan Vincent makes his way down the back straight in towards the John O'Brien chicane again. Oh, was that a bit of a lock up from the front wheel as he turned in there? Oh, he just managed to get that one back there. The car almost snatched a little bit at the front over all the mud and debris at the bottom of Butcher's, and then again back in the chicane. You can see his lead quite handsome now as he looks back towards it. The driver's obviously handsome as well, but that lead's quite handsome. He'll be quite happy when he's looking in his fairly badly positioned mirror, where he has got right in front of him above his head. But up over the crest of the hill, they're just trying to stroke this one home. Just be listening for any little noises coming from that Legend. These things are extremely reliable. Steve McCall puts together some fantastic cars from the Burnett camp. So this Beatson's Motorsports Legend heads in towards the hairpin, and we pick up with our outside static camera as here they come the cars down the main straight. Vincent hits the brakes for the hairpin, and a nice couple of down changes. Then we've got Chris Hines, and Carol Brown, and look at this side by side, John Marshall and Kieran Gallagher. Kieran going up the inside, the number 2 Stars and Stripes car, which we have seen so many race wins and podiums with John Higgins in previous events or previous years, and he gets a good line through the hairpin, and you can see that inside line does prove very good traction as they come at the corner, and it looks like he just accelerates past John Marshall, and likewise for Adrian Dunn and John Wishbury as they both head towards Clark Corner. But Vincent's in towards the chicane, he turns in and he's having to bail out. He's off, he's down the grass, he's straight on. He looked up as he went in there, he took an avoiding route down and he rejoins the Butchers, and look how much Carol Brown has got up. Carol Brown has got past Chris Hines, and she really has, with that mistake that Vincent made there as Hines climbs the sausage curb at Scotsman Corner. They really have caught up Vincent, and a little bit of concentration here. Maybe getting a pit board from the pit wall telling him to slow down, and drivers can just lose concentration. So that's just not what you're needing in a race when you're a driver. As we come on to the next lap of Askin, past the pit crew there, Vincent will not be happy with himself. He's giving himself a bit of a kick for that one as he come in towards the hairpin for this team of Askin, side by side for second place, and Chris Hines, good manoeuvre, takes Carol Brown on the brakes. In 2012 Scottish Legends champion Carol Brown in the number 1 car this time gets back underneath though as they leave the hairpin and head towards Clark Corner. So we're coming in towards the closing stages of this race now as they come through Hislops towards Clark Corner. Can Vincent hold on to make this a victory, or are we going to see another silly error from him and throw it all the way into the weeds? He has been known for it in the past, so he needs to really knuckle down and sort this out as he comes into the John O'Brien chicane where he threw it off-road the last time. No such mistake this time. Good line through the chicane, short shifts on the exit, good compression through Butchers and up the hill, and you can see him starting to put a bit of a gap into the 2012 Scottish champion already, starting just to pull away from Carol, and Carol in turn looks like she's got her head down and is starting to pull away from Heinz now, as the cars all flash past a couple of eager Beaver spectators on the pit wall, wrapped up in their high-vis wet weather gear, as John Wishbury is under all sorts of pressure from Adrian Dunn as he goes up the inside now. We're on to the last lap, a good couple of down changes from this young man, never raced a car before, and we flick back to Carol Brown, who's definitely gapped Chris Heinz, and Chris Heinz will be happy that when he actually damaged his wrist in an earlier heat, damaged some tendons, had to go to the medical centre, got himself strapped up, a few painkillers, and then sent on his merry way, as we see John Marshall having a fairly understeery moment through the hairpin, and John won't be terribly happy with that one, as the rest of the guys are already probably at Clark Corner by now. Yep, we'll go back on board with Duncan Vincent as he turns in and does his favourite wet weather line as he comes through, cuts right back and inside, gets some good drive down the back straight. You can see just at the top of the screen the front end of Carol Brown's car, but it's not going to be enough for Carol. If Duncan Vincent gets through these next couple of corners without doing any silly errors, it looks like he's going to get another 200 points and be happy Mary on his way to taking another victory. He did win the first heat of the race, so this to make it 2 out of 2, and can he make it 3 out of 3 by winning the final? But here he comes, he's coming through Leslie's for the last time of asking. He's coming up straight cars, bit of a base curve, and the car goes light and sideways over the top. He keeps his foot planted in this time, and he heads up towards the checker flag, and he will be happy. The team are on the pit wall, the Burnett Motorsport guys. Big round of applause as he takes the checker flag, and he'll be a happy chappy with that one, because that's 2 out of 2, and he's beaten the Scottish champion in this one. Carol will be chuffed with that one. Carol had a good few sliding moments, shall we say, in previous races, and everybody's just learning the circuit. They've never raced reverse direction before, but as we follow Duncan Vincent round on his slow down lap, he'll be happy. Marshall's be giving a bit of a wave, he'll be giving a wave back through appreciation to the Orange Army. But once again, another good victory for the Beatsons legend by Burnett Motorsport. And he'll take that one back into the pits, and he'll hand it back over to Stephen McCall. Until the next time, we shall catch you then.